The legacy continues. Welcome to Adventure Sports Outdoors Magazine.
Welcome to another edition of Adventure Sports Outdoors. I'm your host, Andy Bugos, and we're out here on my new property. Last July, I was lucky enough to become a part of 120 acres. My buddy Al has the other half, so we've been working on a ton of improvements. This time of year, I like to get out here. It's February 10th. The snow's all gone. We got a little bit of water because we're in the swampland, but it's a perfect time of the year to get out, kind of see where the deer have kind of calmed down. They're past from the winter. Check out for some deer sheds. A lot of guys like to go through when it's snow on the ground. I actually prefer to go out once the snow's gone so I can kind of look for sheds at the same time. I think they're a little bit easier to find. This property is very unique. Of the 120 acres, we have some duck grounds and stuff that are back off here over the right. We'll show you here a little bit later. This ditch runs pretty much all year round, runs only about 40-45 degrees. This water will stay open pretty much the whole year, so if everything freezes, it's actually pretty good for ducks. You can kind of see we've been doing a lot of management. This whole ditch was just absolutely covered. If you look at that other side over there, you can kind of see it just was full of little willows and autumn olive and honeysuckle and just all your invasives that you really just don't want. It become a real issue for us because we couldn't get any heavy equipment in here to get in our beaver dams and things like that, so it was quite a pain in the butt. So we've actually got a nice gentleman named Josh Dorr that comes in with Wolf Creek Excavating and stuff, and he actually has been trimming off our ditches here to give us a little better access. We still got to get a lot of this stuff pulled out and dig this ditch out and get it the way we want it, but you know, it's all part of the plan, just trying to get everything in the habitat the way we want it for both duck and deer. So today we'll kind of take a look. If you look over here to our this side here, we got a 2-acre food plot. We've been trying to get a hold of this and get control of this for a couple years. One thing, obviously, you can see there's water out here. This is swamp. This is set aside. This has been in a tree program for probably over 30 years. So you look out there, the oak, there's not a lot of oaks. There's a lot of cottonwood and willows and just kind of trashy trees, to be honest with you. Fortunately, we can't do a lot about that until that tree program's done in a few years. Once that happens, we'll be able to come in here and clear out some more. So our concentration now in the next couple years is to get our food plots the way we want them. Now, granted, we're just like you. We're everyday hunters, right? We don't have $5,000 to go get a consultant to try to figure out how to do this. So a lot of this stuff is going to be trial and error. So that's kind of why I wanted to bring you guys in on this. We'll kind of run you step by step throughout the year on how we do it. We'll show you our trials and errors that we go through. It's been a couple years here. You can't really tell it now. There is a good stand of clover starting in here. We come out here about 2 weeks ago and did some frost seeding, trying to get the clover to take off a little better. Then we had a bunch of rain which flooded it. So we're hoping that that clover takes off a little bit better. But we know the deer are already using it. We actually put a little test up just to see, because it looked like it was staying so short. We couldn't figure out if the deer were actually eating it or if it just wasn't growing, but what we come to find out is actually deer eating it pretty good. In our controlled area, it was quite a bit higher. So we thought about even taking an electrical fence and adding some of that in this year. We'll see what we do, but we'll be working on this throughout the year, and I'll keep you guys updated. We're gonna go check and see where some deer have been running today, see if maybe we can't find a couple sheds. I got a couple other food plots over here. This is our clover pot. We got some over there with some turnips and radishes I really haven't seen this year. I want to go check it out. They hadn't hit it in December. One of my friends said that they'd been hitting it once it turned cold, so we want to check that out. Yeah, so spend the day with us. We're just going to be checking out our property here, seeing some of our improvements, and maybe we'll get lucky enough to even find a shed. So stay tuned.
Adventure Sports Outdoors is brought to you in part by Corsall Lumber, manufacturers of quality hardwood products, buyers of standing timber in Smithfield. Kelleher's Irish Pub and Eatery, located on Peoria's riverfront, open 11 a.m. daily. The Peoria Sportsman's Club, delicious dinners every Tuesday from 5:30 till 7:30 and Friday from 6 till 8 on beautiful Spring Lake in Manitou, Illinois. And the Illinois State Rifle Association, dedicated to education, safety training, and Illinois firearm owners. Our thanks to all of these sponsors.
Yeah, this is this first food plot, and as you can see, there is some clover coming up in there. Little by little. Yeah, we got some invasive grasses and stuff in there, but in time, hopefully we'll get that taken care of. These boxes are pretty good for shotgun, and don't get me wrong, we do kill a few out here with bow, but they need some better coverage. I've been looking into, I don't want to say this wrong, miscanthus. I really wanted to put that out here, wanted to create some nice shields. You know, basically I was going to run them right here along between the road here and this food plot, because we use this as our travel corridor to kind of get everywhere on the property, the duck grounds, things like that. So I really wanted to concentrate on getting these hidden and getting some new bedding areas, food plots, and things like that taken care of this year. Unfortunately, it doesn't look like that miscanthus will work for us. It does not like wet soil, and as you can see, we are in a swamp. We are always dealing with wet soils. It's our one downfall here, but I also will say that the big bucks do like the swamp. You always walk the food plots looking for sheds. Seems like it's always a good location to find them. Last couple years down here on that turnip spot, I found a couple sheds, so hopefully we'll get lucky there. See how the water really takes over in here. Clover's still trying to come up through it. We're in a very unique situation down here. We actually have Crow Creek to our north, which is that there. To our west, down there is the Illinois River and a lot of the big duck clubs. Midwest Gun Club's not too far over there. The old 1840 Sancodia Ranch that was purchased, which was part of our property at one time. It's over there. Another gentleman's now purchased that. Bad little trail going in there. It's amazing how they can make those little trails through those willows. They just slick right through there. You can see how thick this stuff really is with all these willows, and obviously we get this Phragmites, and boy, Phragmites, once it gets in, it takes over. There's just not a lot you can do to get it under control. That's my Ella Bella stand right there. My daughter's favorite stand. She's killed a couple deer out of that, and it's just a good stand for a kid. You can see it a long ways. And we've killed several deer out of that stand. Food plot's looking good down at this end too. Got quite a bit of clover in there. A little bit of frost. Hopefully that seed we planted takes off. So here's what we just tried to reclaim this last year. As you can see, we've been working on a couple years. This is all our first year right through here. We do have a very small plot down there at the end we'll get to that has some turnips and stuff we planted the last few years. But we're trying to get this whole thing planted in food just to try to hold more deer. We have the Crow Creek, which faces it's right on the other side of that little hill there. That's kind of our border right there. A lot of deer come across there. They'll come across to come over here to feed. We do have some that stay in here. I feel like maybe, you know, we got 4 guys that usually hunt here, total of 170 acres, but I really think we almost overpressure it. And I think that's the one thing that, everybody has a tendency to do. We don't want to, but you know, if you're on a weekend, if you got a weekend and you want to hunt, what are you going to do? You're going to go out and hunt. Even if the wind's not perfect or the weather's not perfect or whatever, it's just kind of what we want to do. We want to get out and hunt. So one thing great about coming out here in February is actually you end up finding a lot of old scrapes that you just didn't go by or didn't see during the season. I found a whole line that has basically been all the way down along this line that actually last November was not here. So I'm not sure when they made this. Maybe it was more later season in December. I didn't really hunt this side that much, so maybe that's why, but there's been sign all the way along here. So hopefully, just beyond that tower there, I'm hoping there may be, hopefully there's a shed in there, because That's kind of the main food plot I know they hit when it's late. All right, here is our turnip and radish plot. Boy, they have been. You can see, look at this. Well, they got in here at some point and just ate them up. All over that way. I was pretty happy with this. This is kind of the sandy soil back here, so it broke up really nicely. And it really made a difference on these turnips. And you got to look at the size of some of these. I know guys grow them a lot bigger than we do, but they don't fertilize or do any much of that either. But look at it. You can see where they nibbled on a lot of them. Boy, they got them tore up out of the ground all over here. That's pretty good size too. You pull that out, look at that. Not bad, huh? Take a bite.
Good.
Tastes like chicken. No, it doesn't. Actually, yuck. Nah, it is pretty sweet though. I can see why they like it. I'm not sure why I did that. I do a lot of dumb things. I just taste a lot of dirt and a little sweetness. Man, they're all over here. Yeah, look at them. Good size. They really did. They didn't destroy them, but they got in here and ate them pretty good. You can see. It doesn't look too fresh though. Looks like maybe when it was cold they were in here. But they definitely, you can see where they chewed a lot of them. Oh yeah, some of this is pretty fresh down here. So it looks like they're still eating in here. Oh yeah, look at this one. This one was sure. That thing was probably eaten on last night. It's pretty fresh, still wet. So, yeah, so they must have been in here maybe last night eating this.
That's a nice big one there.
Yeah. And you see, what's weird is they just kind of eat around the tops, and sometimes I see, you know, they've been pulling them out, but there is some fresh sign back here, definitely. I mean, you can tell that white there, they've really been eating back in here still. So, that's a good sign. So, I got a really good bedding area that it sits right back in here. We'll get to it. You got these cedar trees here. We actually have a stand that we've putting up in here in these cedar trees. One thing I do, I know it's unique. I like to put up a stand one year and kind of hunt it before I really trim the heck out of it. One, I feel like you get to trimming, you trim too much, and you trim a bunch of stuff you don't need to trim, and then you lose all your cover, and the deer can pick you out pretty well. So a lot of times I'll hunt the stand a couple times one year and just kind of let it get used to that area. Then I'll come back in. Actually, probably next weekend, we're probably going to come here and kind of clean up all our stands. It's better to do it now in February, no leaves, no nothing. And that way we don't have to get in here in August, September. We can stay out of here. I really like to stay out of here as much as we can the last couple months before the season, just to let the deer settle down and we're not in there bothering them.
Oh, man. I think we got something here, boss.
There you go, buddy. You find one?
Yeah.
About time.
Where's that made at? Drop them close by?
It should. It should.
Man. Sweet little find right underneath the oak tree.
You little guy, huh? That's awesome. Good deal.
Yeah.
Good deal.
Sweet.
Yeah. And I guess search the area for the other one. Those little ones aren't easy to find either. And as soon as I turn off the camera, we look down and there we go. Boy, we're on the roll today, boys. You guys must be good luck. Little buried, is that last year's?
Last year's.
Yeah, it's definitely last year's.
Look how much it's been chewed, got green on it.
Chewed, green,
brown.
yeah, been sitting there for a while. All right, so here we are. We've had a good day so far. So far we have 3, and we still gotta walk all the way back to the front. This is that area I was talking about earlier. This is our second food plot that we've really not done much with, but just basically mow it. Yes, the grass looks good and we think the deer would lay in it, but it's just not tall enough. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take on the other side of those trees. We're gonna kill all that whole area off this year. And my plan is to get that all planted into switchgrass. That'll give us, it's not quite a full acre there. That'll be nothing but bedding, which will be good because we have a good funnel that comes down from that hill that comes down through what we call the cottonwoods. And they all kind of funnel down through here, and they kind of all come through this corner a lot. There's still some that come through here, don't get me wrong, but our main funnel comes through here, and they kind of funnel up through the property through here. So I really want to create a nice switchgrass place where they can feel comfortable. We'll avoid that area as far as when we're coming in from our stands. We'll really work the wind better, and try to get in here and be quiet. And then that way our bedding area is kind of right between several of our stand locations. I would, as I always talk about, I like that miscanthus that we could put along that wall over there to create a block, but I just don't think it's going to grow in the soil. I'll probably do a little testing this year. I'm going to get a few of the rhizomes, put them up front. Our front end up by the road is really opening up. Everything's dying off, so I really want to create a shield. I don't like people being able to just drive a four-wheeler in or see into the property, because, you know, people shoot from the road. I know it sounds silly, but it's happened out here a lot over the years. So we're gonna get some gates up, hopefully get some blocks up front, get some bedding areas set up a little farther back away from the road to try to, you know, keep them back here in our area. So that's gonna be our plan for this year. Hopefully that takes place, and then next year we'll have a nice stand of switchgrass here to show you. There's several stand locations, and you can actually see back here how swampy it gets. This road stays wet. If it rains, it just doesn't dry up, it seems like. So we have to have something that can handle the wet, and it looks like switchgrass is that grass it can handle that wet soil. So hopefully that all works out and we can show you a full stand. I'd love to see that 10-12 foot high of switchgrass, because I know I'd find sheds in there too.
Here's some snow geese and speckle bellies. Oh yeah, they're way up there. Speckle bellies, I think. This is our old bridge. Oh boy. Looks like our old bridge is about had it, Al. This goes over to one of our duck blinds there. We really haven't had any luck duck hunting out of there. I'll get you a little different view, and we'll talk about that a little bit and some of our issues and some of the things going on there. But we'll be duck hunting here hopefully this year, as well as in North Dakota. Yeah, our huge problem is beavers. At one point over a 3-year period, we had 34 beaver taken out of here. It was unbelievable. You wouldn't think that, but there's some springs that pump like 60 gallons a minute on the other side, and you know that water flows all year, and boy, they come up from that river and coming up on our duck grounds here. One of our old blinds. I don't really hunt this blind much. Looks like I need some tender TLC. Falling apart a little bit. So to give you guys a little perspective, if you look across this duck grounds, that entire duck grounds was trees, just like that over there. Unfortunately, when Stan Cody, who owns that cabin over there, well, did own that cabin, they come in and did some ditch work and dug out some of the ditch and put it in our ditch, and it's really screwed things up. As you can see, our willows have just been massacred over there. It's almost unbelievable. That whole area from front to back was willows, and we would hold sometimes up to 2,000 wood ducks, not exaggerating. A couple years ago was really way down. Maybe had 600-700, but this year, oh boy, or 2023, there was one duck killed here. So actually, to be honest with you, I just saw 4 ducks fly over, and that's more than I saw here when I was hunting. So it's been a unique year. Ducks just did not work for us here. We still are always trying to get control of this. This is extremely swampy. You got to be careful. We've stuck so many tractors and 4-wheelers in here. It's unbelievable. Nice little duck grounds here, though. Used to shoot over 400 to 450 ducks a year for many years. Obviously, over the last 10, 15, it's not been like that. So now for a while I was lucky to kill 50, and now we're lucky to kill 5. So hopefully we can turn that around and our duck seasons will get a little better. But from about everybody I've talked to, it didn't sound like anybody had a very good duck season this year. So I don't think we were the only ones. So hopefully next year there'll be a big fall flight, and it'll make up for it. So you're out here searching for sheds, and you just never know what you're gonna find. That was a big box turtle. He's no longer. He was a big dude. That's a good size one there. He lived a full life, I'll guarantee you that. It's one of the bigger boxes you'll see. What we're coming up on here is one of our control structures. This is our valve tube. As you can see, it's a mess. You can see how high the water gets. This is how we flood our duck grounds. We'll shut down this valve tube with that wheel right there. And then we turn around. We have another structure that actually runs along our ditch. This is a board valve. Basically what that's for is so we can control the amount of water we get in the duck grounds. So we add some boards to that until we get to the right height. We get down there, I'll show you the sides of it, and you can see how high the water actually gets. This area back in here is what we call the Cottonwoods. This is my buddy Al's favorite place. He's got many stands back here. One of these days he may shoot a deer out of here, but at this point he just likes to watch them. He thinks they're pretty. So but you can kind of see this is one of our main timbers, our only timber stands really. But this is a huge funnel that runs right down. It crosses 26 down to the river, runs into some of the duck clubs down there. Some of the big duck clubs like Lockport and stuff like that. So yeah, this is a good funnel that goes all the way down to the river. So when the river floods, we do get quite a bit of activity where they push up out of the river and come up into here. So we don't mind when the river's a little flooded. The only problem is it does back up our ditch, because Crow Creek does run back into here. That's what our creeks run into. So Crow is a pretty good sized creek that runs year round. So if it gets pretty full, it can get kind of nasty down in here, and even this area will flood some. So you can see massive hills. On the other side of that, to give you an idea, is where Midwest Gun Club is. So we're right out here between Spring Bay and Lakin off of 26. We got a nice little property here. We got some big sycamores. But sycamores sometimes where I tend to see some turkey roost. We don't get a lot of turkey here. We get a few that'll come through in the spring. It seems to be where we see them is right through here. They seem to like these big sycamores to roost in at night. Al's over there. I already know what he's doing. He's searching out another stand location. And just off the end of that creek down there, you'll see there's a 26-acre lake that Fish Lake Incorporated, I believe, owns now. It was San Cody. It used to be the old 1840 ranch. They really redid everything that we had down here, our cabin, the lake. We had a little craft shack they turned into a bunkhouse. Really did a beautiful job. Beautifully landscaped. Put a nice pier, a ground pier all the way out in the middle of the lake. So hopefully they got some fish in there. It wasn't a very deep lake. It was actually made in the 1970s. And it was strictly made for a muskrat lake. So it was like a foot deep, and it used to have hundreds of muskrat huts on it. And that's what they used to do, is they built it for that so they could harvest muskrats and they could sell the fur. So now that furs aren't worth much, and I don't see hardly any muskrat huts over there anymore, so things have changed a little bit over the years. We do get quite a few, we got beaver, there's always muskrat, get a little bit of everything. One thing we've noticed over the last few years is we've had several otter. And I know otter are pretty, but boy, do they do some damage. I've seen lakes where an otter will get in and literally just go and kill all the fish, not even eat them, bite their belly, just kill them to kill. They can really destroy an ecosystem in a lake. So I know otters are pretty and all, but they're not always the best thing for the ecosystem. Seen quite a few geese. Just got done watching about 2 or 3 good groups of gadwall. Heard them quacking around up there. I think I've seen more ducks here today than I saw all of season, so that's not a good thing. This is our levee that we had put in years ago in order to put this control structure in. At one time we really didn't have a way other than to block off the whole tube, so we were at the mercy of however high the water got. So we put this in 6-7 years ago to help control this water. You can see how high the water gets on that. You can also see where there's some slides, which probably a beaver and otter. This is one of their favorite locations. I can't count how many beavers we've taken off of these couple slides here. They don't look very fresh though. There's a lot of leaves and stuff on them, so hopefully the beavers are not that bad this year. Because otherwise it's a pain in the butt tearing out them beaver dams all the time. Our creek is about as low as it's going to get. I mean, it'd come up another 6 feet on those banks if we were flooded. So another problem we always seem to be dealing with is cattails. We either have to deal with cattails or phragmite. Both of them are a problem. Our tree problem is willows. We have willows everywhere. So as we continue to transform this farm, hopefully some of this stuff will change. We'll get it more in the habitat for deer that we want. And at some point, I'd love to get some of this water out of here, but we'll see. Probably need some good tile work. So here I'm walking up on another one of those patches of that phragmite I've been telling you about. You can kind of look at it. It's just like real thin. Gets a nice seedy head on it. I'll break one of these off to show you. You can kind of see And this stuff, these seeds just go everywhere in the wind. And when it takes over, this is nothing. This is a pretty thin patch. You can kind of see through it. This stuff will get so thick and just take over everything. It's a really hard weed to control. We have real problems with it over in the duck grounds. Even one year, about 15 years ago, we decided we were going to be geniuses and light this stuff up on fire. Piece of advice, if you have 30, 40 acres of this stuff, it's not real smart to light up. That stuff was shooting flames, and I'm not kidding you, 100 feet in the air. They were seeing it from Chillicothe, and 7 different fire departments showed up for this one fire. And I mean, we had water on every side of us, so it wasn't really going to go too far, but it was quite the sight to see. We learned real quick, make sure you call the fire department if you're going to do a controlled burn. I will be honest, there was nothing controlled about that burn, but we burn up I think we burned up almost 100 acres of Phragmite and other grasses, so it did help us for a while, but it still took right back over. So we still have an issue with it. We can't seem to get rid of it. I'm sure once we get the permission to do whatever we want back on this land, once the program's over, then we'll be figuring something out to get rid of this. So.
Adventure Sports Outdoors is brought to you in part by Corsaw Lumber, manufacturers of quality hardwood products, buyers of standing timber in Smithfield. Kelleher's Irish Pub and Eatery, located on Peoria's riverfront, open 11 a.m. daily.
The Peoria Sportsman's Club, delicious dinners every Tuesday from 5:30 till 7:30 and Friday from 6 till 8 on beautiful Spring Lake in Manitou, Illinois. And the Illinois State Rifle Association, dedicated to education, safety training, and Illinois firearm owners. Our thanks to all of these sponsors.
Well, guys, we had one more find out there as we were walking back. My buddy Al found one more, but as you can see, it probably was last year's. The squirrels have eaten it up pretty good, but hey, I tell you what, we had a great day today. We come out here to check out some food plots, see how our ditches were running, make sure there was no beavers, kind of put a plan together for this year for deer season. Found a lot of great sign and stuff on our property, a couple new stand locations. It's a great time of the year to go ahead and get out there. You can see a lot of different things before everything really starts to green up. And let's face it, here in another month, we're gonna wanna be on the water fishing, and right after that comes mushroom season. So you might as well get out there and get started early. The season comes upon us so quickly anymore. So you just get out there, start checking your sign, figure out your stand placements for next year, get the food plots preparations going, and hopefully you'll have a successful season. I know today me and Al have had a great day. We didn't plan on finding this many sheds, I'll tell you that. I mean, I was hoping to find 1 or 2 for you, but we found a few. Looks like most of them are last year's. Maybe one of them might have been this year. So at least a couple of them weren't chewed up, a couple of them were, so it'll be added to the collection at home. So one thing we didn't find, which I'm glad, is I always looking for deadheads this time of year. Heard some blue tongue and some of the deer diseases were around last year. Luckily, we didn't find any of that. We always like to check that out this time of year to see. We've had years where it's been pretty devastating, where you'd find 4 or 5 maybe even. So luckily, we didn't find any of that. Everything's been off to a great start so far this year. Hopefully, next month we'll have a fishing show for you. Fortunately, there was no ice, and I'm not ready to crack that seal on my boat yet. So I guess hopefully next month we'll have a nice little show for you. Maybe I'll be with Mr. Fish or my buddy Al or Tim, who knows. But I really plan on being on the water sometime soon. So as Harry Canterbury used to say, keep your worm wet and your powder dry, and may your sunrises and sunsets be magical. Thanks for joining us today on Adventure Sports Outdoors. I'm your host, Andy Bugos.